Here we go.
Our world is dying. Society fell apart. Governments broke down. And mankind lost its humanity.
Where are you?
You promised to save us.
Who do we have here?
My daughter, she was taken by the buzzards. Together we can find her.
No. You get yourself killed. Who looks after your daughter then?
She is everything I got. Why didn't you save me?
What should we call you?
Max. My name is Max. Run.
Observations with Robert Meyer Burnett.
I've heard it said before, like, it was a very smart man named Robert Meyer Burnett who said the currency of our current age is authenticity. And it's so true.
Imagination Connoisseurs Unlimited, in association with Road to Perdition writer Max Allan Collins, brings you True Noir from the Nathan Heller Casebooks, a fully immersive audio drama based on Max Allan Collins' 19-novel series about Private Eye Nathan Heller, starring Todd Stashwick and a cast of people I can't wait to tell you about, in a fully immersive 8-hour audio drama based on the first book in the series, True Detective, but we like to call it The Assassination of Anton Cermak. It's begun production as of May 1st, and join our crowdfunding campaign and help us get even better actors that you'll recognize even more. Greetings, Imagination Connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your Master of Fun and Wonder, your Viceroy of Verisimilitude, Mr. Rogers. That's when I'm... Okay. Now, one of the things were usually written, they started out being written by fans. And of course, James Blish, who wrote some of the first Star Trek novels, well, Spock Must Die and the novelization of all the episodes, he started out, as a fan. He was a science fiction writer. But then two women named Sandra Marshak and Myrna Colbraith published a book called Strange New Worlds, which was a collection of fan short stories. But they were collected and published by the license holder. Well, in this day and age, with the technology that we have now, we now have fan films. And I think some of the best fan films are reaching a level that is very close to Hollywood. And I think it's a great way, if people want to do it, they can show their chops. They can show exactly what they can do with something they love. They can cut their teeth on a property that they love. And I think the very best fan films are not just fun for fans of an IP, but they also point in the direction of filmmakers and artists that we're going to be seeing a lot from in the coming years. Hollywood, I don't think, has looked close enough at some fan films, But something came across, I have to give credit to Dieter Bastian, all the way from Saarbrücken, Deutschland. Mr. Dieter Bastian brought to my attention a couple of months ago a Mad Max fan film. And as you just saw with the trailer for Hope and Glory, it is a very, very impressive piece of work. And I was perplexed by it. I'm like, wait a minute, is this a Mad Max TV series? What is this? It can't be this can't be a fan film. It's too good. And every level of this movie smacked of professionalism. It was really impressive. Everything from the acting to the sound design to the visual effects to the cinematography. And of course, I mean, the subject matter was such love and such affection of the whole Mad Max franchise was rolled in to this. And I remember reading a review of The Road Warrior. I think it was in Newsweek, and the headline was Apocalypse Pow. Well, when I watched this, I thought Apocalypse Wow, and this really got me. And this film, Hope and Glory, dropped on YouTube at 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time today. There's the link down in the description, and I've pinned the link in the live chat so you can find it. And I have the director. Well, actually, so one of the directors, there are two. The director of this film is with me right now to tell me, how did they do this? Please welcome Eric Von Shore, the director of Hope and Glory, to Robservations. Eric, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for inviting us.
I have to say, I really was blown away by this. And I think the first question that I have for you is why? Why would you make this movie? Tell me the tale of, I mean, I know why people love Star Wars, I know why people love Star Trek, but what is Mad Max? What is the Mad Max franchise to you? I was there when Mad Max was first in the theater, and I saw it in 1979. I went and saw The Road Warrior countless times. Well, it's Mad Max 2 for the rest of the world. And then, of course, Beyond Thunderdome in 1985 and Fury Road in 2015, which I never thought was going to get made because they tried to make it for so long. But tell me about your love of the Mad Max franchise.
I think it all started when I was 11 years old, and I saw like at, 10:30 p.m. a showing, that's the time when you had like a TV guide, and when you're studying, okay. And then you got old enough, you understood like, okay, there's certain periods, and this was the movie that was defining for action movies in that time. And then there was Mad Max by George Miller. Mel Gibson. Okay, Mel Gibson. He looked different in this other Braveheart movie. Okay, he has shorter hair. Okay, let's see this. And I didn't ask for permission to stay up that night and watch Mad Max like secretly. Really, the sound really like down and really close to the TV. And then I got like sucked into this world. Of course, as I found out later, with 11 years old, I didn't know that yet. The German censorship really got the best of the movie, as was the case with The Road Warrior, where much of the action was just like chopped to bits and it was unrecognizable, and the flow was destroyed, the music was skipping. But I already knew, like, oh man, that was great. I know that something is wrong, but yeah, I will get to this. And I got to this later, and watched all the movies and was blown away by the world building and by whatever cinematic vision George Miller had. And so I really jumped like up in my seat when I heard about Fury Road for the first time. And I remember that was one of the first movies I really got caught wind of early in the development stage. And as we all know, that took like 9 to 10 years until we got to see that.
Yeah.
So these 10 years, oh my God. Every time they announced it, the desert went green or whatever. I don't know.
Right, that's what happened. They had
all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so when this movie finally came out, it was like, finally, they got it. It was like a 9-year-long soccer game. I was so excited. And I thought like, okay, they are winning. Now they do this. Got the best seats in the Zoopalast in Berlin. Dolby Atmos. It's like the cinema where Tarantino and Nolan have their premieres of their movies because they show in 70 millimeter and they already have they still have like film projectors and everything. And I thought, okay, that's the way to go. And sitting in the perfect seat where the bass waves were like hitting me like perfectly, but the sound involved me. The audience, it was like one of the first two showings, really like was into it. It was not like, okay, what's coming out? Let's watch this. No, they went there because they wanted to see this. So the energy level was crazy high. And to this day, I get goosebumps thinking back of this, and still thinking of Tom Hardy in one of the final scenes when he was crossing the screen like on this pole while the war rig behind him like gets blown up in pieces. And it was relentless, and to this day one of my most cherished movie-going experience of all time. And I always think back to this, and still watching the movie on Blu-ray at home, the experience of seeing this in the cinema still helps the movie to this day to bring back these memories. I don't know, it's part of my body now. So I always encourage people to go to the cinema to watch movies because it's part of you, and you will always carry that with you. And it's different to see something for the first time on the small screen. And I envy you, Rob, that you got to see Mad Max, Road Warrior, and everything else on the big screen when it came out.
Oh, I saw the Road Warrior at the Guild 45th in the University District in Seattle, Washington. Well, you make a great point. I mean, and I've always said this, when a movie theater is a sensory deprivation tank for the outside world. It's designed to give you a sensory experience within the confines of the theater. And when the lights go down, the rest of the world ceases to exist. And I firmly believe that psychologically, when we are so focused on what's going on screen, it's penetrating our subconscious, our mind, our psyche, call it what you want, to a much greater degree than when you're watching something on TV. Because when you're watching something at home, you're at home. At any moment you can get up if the dogs are barking, you have to go to the bathroom or this, that, and the other thing, someone knocks on the door. So your mind is never as keyed in as it is in the theater. And the thing about George Miller's work, it really is like the extended chase scene at the end of Road Warrior, it's pure cinema. You're not following dialogue, people are not telling you the plot. You're watching it happen through a succession of images, and the images themselves are telling the story. And it's so masterfully, his films are so masterfully put together, whether it's the hand-to-hand combat in Thunderdome, or whether it's the chase in Road Warrior, or most of Fury Road, which his wife edited, by the way. It's just incredibly, it's an incredible visceral experience in the theater. And like you said, combined, I saw it at the Chinese theater on my actual birthday, for those of you who are wishing me happy birthday. And it was quite an experience in one of the great theaters in Los Angeles with such a great history. But now let me ask you this. Do you think that the Max character in Fury Road is actually the feral kid grown up? Because there's
I'm not one of those guys.
You're not one of those guys. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Got it. Because there's a lot of people are making some convincing. I'm like, I'll buy into that, And of course, was it the feral kid telling the story at the end of Road Warrior? My life fades, the vision dims, all that remain are memories. Man, I love that movie. I'm gonna watch it again. But so anyway, what is your background? I mean, you're also a professional storyboard artist. Tell us a little bit about your artistic journey and where you came from, and did you study this in school? How did you become the artist that you are today?
My father was very into comics, and he's drawing himself. And so I grew up on a healthy diet of comic strips, but old ones, and old movies, classic ones, because my father always said, like, okay, if I show this guy, this little rascal, and my brother, if I show them new movies before, then it's harder for them to go back because of all the pacing and all the special effects. And so
your father was a very smart man.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for that. So we started with like all the the stuff from the 60s, and yeah, sometimes dip back into the 40s, 30s or something. And we really got a sense for stories, for classic stories, for big stories, and for, yeah, I think this diet of classics helped us to not like get drowned in a sea of Nickelodeon or whatever. I don't know. It was like, I think it was healthy and it was saturating in a sense that it was always aesthetically pleasing. It was made with care. And since he selected in a way, like all the stuff, I always thought like, okay, all the movies are perfect, everything is great, until I said, okay, now I want to explore something on my own, and started to realize, okay, there are certain films that got sequels, but not like the budget, like the first part. For example, the Planet of the Apes movies taught me, okay, there are part 2, 3, 4, and every time they cut back the budget or they cut it by half, and I still like got intrigued, like what the filmmakers did with less money, less time, lesser actors, and all this stuff. And I got fascinated with all these levels of filmmaking. So I always have like this special place in my heart for these B movies from the 70s, and then started to do them myself, but in picture form. I draw them because when I grew up in the 90s, I have 3 siblings. A camera was too expensive, so I did always comic strips by myself, or I had all my toys and filmed like through my lens, like had my toy like in front, and then made all the different framings, and unconsciously like was editing this thing because I really but the thing that always was frustrating to me was, oh no, I built like this big thing, and then if I crash whatever into it, everything is like destroyed, and I can only do it once, but I want to see it again. I wanted to see it from different angles. That's the problem. I always have to rebuild, or I always have to draw another drawing. Is there a way? Until I got to learn like, okay, I need something to record this. And I said, father, please, can I have a recorder? I need to record my stuff. And they said, okay, you get a recorder, but I didn't specify I wanted a camera. I wanted a recorder. So I got like this audio recorder with cassettes in it. And I said, oh, okay, that's not quite the thing, but this way I got like really into the audio side of things. And I did, as you would do with True Noir, my own like detective stories and all that stuff, and had to concentrate and focus on the sound side of things until I think when I was 11, I noticed my friends' cameras in their backyard. I don't know, the father was filming something. I didn't care to play anymore with the others, and got to the dad of my friend there and asked, oh, can I hold this? Can I try something? And found my love for the moving image, for the power to record, to rewatch, to slow down, to fast forward, to all that stuff. And
a born filmmaker. Really
I always loved like the control and the decision making behind, like, okay, you have like this frame, and it's always important what's in the frame, but it's also important what's outside the frame. What do I leave out? How close am I? What's the difference in psychology? I didn't think that complicated, of course, not the detailed when I was 11, but unconsciously I always thought, okay, no, it's different. It makes me feel different. If I watch this frame makes me feel like, okay, this is very heroic. This is really weak. This is really scary. And I developed like this own dictionary of, I don't know, film language. By the way, film language is like the one language I really would love to speak at the end of my life. I don't know if I will ever, because I think it's such a complicated and multi-layered language that's developing constantly, as we see right now. And yeah, it's so fascinating because it's fluid. it's different from country to country. When I realized that, okay, French cinema, Japanese cinema, American cinema, European cinema, it's all these different flavors, and to realize
why do you think that is? I totally agree with you, but why do you think culturally the language of cinema and indeed even the speed, like I love Andrei Tarkovsky, but he'll make a movie that has one shot will last 10 minutes. You know, and there's other directors that have shots that last 30 minutes, you know, and then there's Michael Bay, whose shots last half a second, you know. But what do you think that is? I mean, and do you think that there's a right way or a wrong way to make cinema?
That's the exciting thing, that every story needs its own language. Sometimes I see this like, okay, they took the action approach in a horror movie. Of course, I don't get scared. It's too energetic, or something is too beautiful. I like the movie and I admire the movie, but I wasn't as scared in The First Omen, for example, because I thought it was visually too pleasing, and the aesthetic and the whole framing and the lighting and everything was such. Yeah, they created such evoking images that I was not involved in the story anymore, but started to realize, oh my God, how did they do this? It's amazing. It reminds me of this painting, la 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 la. And so I always think like, okay, every scene, not only every movie, every scene needs to have like its own rhythm. And there's certain tools that I think are better suited. There's certain constraints that are maybe like that you need to abide to please your producer. And the question was, is there a right or wrong? Yeah, probably. I don't know who said it, but was it Hitchcock or was it Spielberg, that there's only one right place for the camera in every moment? I don't know. I think there's different places, right?
I do think, though, that I think you make a really great point. It depends, like, the kind of movie that you're making has a sub-language to it. Like, you've got the language of cinema that, like, the French New Wave, Godard started using jump cuts and things like that, and you're like, wait, what is... I don't... For me, like, a new language online is how kids make videos, and they will cut a shot like this. They'll just cut themselves talking, and there'll be jump cuts all around. That's a normal YouTube, Instagram thing, and no one seems to care. As a film editor myself, it drives me crazy. But, you know, I first saw it in I guess, French cinema. There's been jump cuts throughout. Peter Hunt, who directed On Her Majesty's Secret Service, was the Bond editor before he directed, and there's all kinds of jump cuts all over On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which was a big change from the Bond films before. And suddenly it's like the Bond films themselves were evolving a cinematic action language. And now, after music videos came in and people realized, oh, human beings can... our perception, if you see certain images and they're only on screen for half a second, you still register them. So editorial has changed a great deal, and especially action. I mean, one of the things about action cinema that I think is really, really important is geography. The geography in a scene, you always have to know where we are. And one of the things I think, like Paul Greengrass, what he pioneered in the Bourne movies he directed, especially the third one, The Bourne Supremacy, is how fast those edits are. But he shot everything he needed, so no matter how fast he was cutting, you had all the pieces you needed if someone was going to leap through a window. And he would have like 6 shots that would show the person leap, go through the window, and land, but you never were confused as to where they were. So the geography, so the action could build up. Paul Verhoeven and Steven Spielberg would let their shots run longer, and George Miller as well. He uses quick cutting, or George Miller did a lot of interesting things like inflating eyes, or zoom into. So he played with the cinematic form as well. But he is another person where geography is incredibly important. But if you go back and you watch a Michael Bay movie, like the end of the first Transformers, the big battle at the end, you don't know where anybody is. It's just he shoots for the edit. He has 10 cameras running. But if you do that, you have all the footage in the world. But if you haven't set up the geography, where I think you did a great job of you've really learned those lessons. And one of the things I really liked about Hope and Glory was where you put the camera, and the shots you chose. It seemed to me, maybe that came from your storyboard background, you had really thought about where your camera was going to be. I love the shot where Max pulls out the sawed-off shotgun at the girl, and points it at her, and you've got that incredible spanning across the frame, that iconic shot with him. I'm like, that was, you had to get that in there, and it's funny because when I was making a thumbnail for this show, I used that shot, and I used the thumbnail and as the shot, and I'm like, you know what, I felt like I've got to use the car because I couldn't put Robservations and a thing over it. I couldn't make it work. So I'm like, I can use the car because everyone knows what that car is. So I switched him out. But I did, just so you know, the thumbnail, it used to be Max with the gun that I took. So, but you did a phenomenal job. And I have to ask you, I know we're jumping around, but we talked about this before we started, but tell us, how did this project begin? How did you decide to make this movie, and how long did it take?
I think in 2015, when I saw Fury Road, I really developed this internal, I don't know. It's always unconscious at first, and then it gets bigger. Suddenly you realize, okay, there's a fire burning inside you for a specific thing. But it was always like a really, really small spark. But that spark developed into a fire when I saw one day in December 2020, as is, on Instagram, a photo of Adrian's garage where he was building this interceptor. And
now,
as he said, you always realize these
Adrian's your co-director. Adrian is your
co-director. Right.
So, and you didn't know him? You didn't know him?
We grew up in the same city, as did Johannes, our DOP, and my brother and his brother. It's all connected in a way, but we weren't connected before. So that project, in a funny way, really, really brought us together. While beforehand we just lived a parallel life, and everything clicked. So, I did the V8 sign accidentally. The thing is, it was this picture. It was that's the car. That's the key character. The key prop, and another important character in the Mad Max franchise. And since I know that people are really sad that the Interceptor doesn't survive, not even 2 minutes in Fury Road, and it gets blown up in Road Warrior, and in the first one it doesn't even look the way it does later. This car has to be part of a story around Max, and I thought, okay, let's think about a story where we can focus on that, because it has to be a story around Max, this car, and something very confined, because of course we are in Germany, of all places, where we don't have any desert whatsoever. It's all woods, it's all green, it's all lush. So I just wrote him and asked him, are you planning anything with this? And I think he will recount something similar when he said, yeah, I want to do a Mad Max movie, and I built this because that's very important to me, and since I'm a car mechanic, I know my shit, and I just do it. And I thought, okay, this just do it attitude, that's the thing. Just do it. I have to get out of my head. I have to just do it. And I asked him, okay, is there anything? Are there any scraps of a story? Are there any parts you already have developed? And he sent me his first, I don't know, he already did 50 scribbles or something. And he had a 1-page layout of the story as he intended, and especially the opening of the movie, where Max wakes up, has this not very healthy breakfast, and looks into the distance for another day under the scorching sun, la la la. And I thought, let me build on this. And since he was really looking for a collaboration partner, he I think he embraced it with open arms because nobody took him serious with his endeavor. When he started building his car, everybody said he's crazy. And when I said, hey, let's do something, I think it was for the first time since many years, in this case, that somebody was not like, you're mad, but let's be mad together and let's start something here. And yeah, and from there on, I think this avalanche slowly built, and the script developed in the following January. The storyboards got made until May, then they were completed. And we did all this, by the way, next to our full-time jobs at this time. And yeah, more characters got involved, as Johannes Pau, for example, our DOP, for example, and my brother and Adrian's brother, since they got to see something. The car evolved, the storyboards suddenly were a book, you know? It was something you could see.
Hey, wait, can I buy that? Are you going to
send you something?
Are you going to publish that book?
Well, I don't know. We have to talk with Warner about this. But yeah, we really thought, okay, if people hear something, they say, okay, bullshit. You are mad. You are crazy. But if they can hold something in their hands,
I know.
You have to make them believe. And if they hold something in their hands, and if they see something,
wow, dude.
Then they see, okay, there's a goal. There's actually something to work towards. There's a reason to get up to invest their time. Because time is like the thing we built this whole movie on. It was time that we didn't, we couldn't pay anyone, of course.
Sure.
And it was a fever dream, a 3.5 years long fever dream to bring this to YouTube. And yeah, today's the day when everybody can see like the result of what 275 filmmakers from all over the world can do if they work together and have one goal in mind, to make the best movie, to not like be egoistical and say, no, it's mine and I want to push myself. No, we all worked for one goal, and that is to make the best hope and glory Mad Max fan film that's possible. And I think in working together and in one direction, not pulling in different directions, brought us here. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, a rich congratulations to you and the team. Because it's a beautiful piece of work, and a lot of people have said already that this looks like if they were going to make a Mad Max TV series, this is what it would look like, and I agree. But now let me ask you another question. Obviously, you don't own, and this is the eternal question for anyone making a fan film. You don't own Mad Max. Warner Brothers does. So, and probably George Miller has the underlying rights. Were you worried at all about the studio getting angry? And now that you've released it to the world, Furiosa comes out in the States on May 24th. So we're literally just over 2 weeks away from seeing the new Mad Max movie. Did you contact Warner Brothers? Did you contact anybody at Kennedy Miller? Did you talk to anyone about this? And are you fearful that they'll pull it off of YouTube? I mean, you can put it anywhere else, but how do you feel about that?
I always look up in the sky and look out for helicopters, and I don't sleep since 4 weeks. No, actually, we didn't worry about that. We didn't want to wake sleeping dogs, and we did want to wait until we have to show something that's more than, I don't know, the first raw material from the first filming day, and said, okay, if we reached a certain level, we will send something out to George, just to ask for his blessing, because it's really important to us to do this respectfully and to have in mind that George Miller got screwed over by Warner Brothers before with the Mad Max game and all these rights issues, and the thing with the box office with Fury Road. And yeah, we knew that Warner Brothers and George Miller were not on a good foot for some time. So we want to start this really, really nice, and started to think about contacting him when we had a trailer ready. I think it was last November. So we really waited 3 years. Yeah, to be clear, 3 years when everything was said and done, when all the money was put into the production, when the editing was completed, when all the VFX were completed, and only the sound design and the mixing and everything was missing. And since November we tried. Since November we didn't hear anything back from Miller's Bureau, and we started to ask Warner Brothers. We heard nothing back. Oh no, we heard one. I think once in January or something, Warner just took down our channel because they claimed that we took footage from Fury Road, put together trailers and material, and called it our own. And we replied in a friendly manner. I think that we can prove with all the raw footage that it's our material, that it's original material.
But that's got to be that's the greatest compliment of all. They accuse you of using their footage and you created it all. I mean, one of the things that the studios I think don't understand, and having gone through this myself, as long as you're not monetizing anything, and as long as you're not saying, well, our movie's better than what they're actually making, and I think that and a lot of studios, it depends how it goes. Like Lucasfilm, for instance, used to have a fan film contest for Star Wars movies, and when they released the original 6 Star Wars films on Blu-ray for the first time, they included a lot of those fan films, the best of them, including Kevin Rubio's Troops. Shout out to my friend Kevin Rubio, who Troops is still one of my favorite fan films of all time. Kevin Rubio got a bad health diagnosis a couple days ago, so shout out, much love to you, Kevin. But Troops, set a tone for fan films that I think people have been trying to live up to because it was both a parody and it was in canon to Star Wars at the same time. And I think, though, that if studios know that I would be encouraging of filmmakers, as long as you're not monetizing it, because most fan filmmakers are not working at your level. I mean, I have to say that Troops was supposed to look like a TV show that was shot. I thought they did a great job, but your film is I think one of the best fan films I've ever seen, to be honest. And what you were doing, you can tell that the level of accomplishment by your crew, by everybody involved behind the camera, is at the highest level. And one of the things about fan films is, I don't know if this is true for you, but do you see this movie as a stepping stone to make your own original films? That's
right.
Okay.
That's right. That's exactly the thing. Because to be honest, everybody craves original content.
Yes.
But let's also be honest, who gives a fuck if 3 German filmmakers spend 70,000 euros, put it into an action movie that's 38 minutes long, put it on YouTube, it's wholly original. Nobody clicks on it. Nobody clicks on it. We live in a time where there's so much content, where there's so many platforms, where there's so many streaming services, and everything is shouting at once, watch me now, see this, see that. And we didn't know, and that's the funny thing, we didn't know that George Miller was going to do another Mad Max movie for sure. When they said in 2021, okay, there's going to be another one, or 2020, when they had this press release, and it was about Furiosa, we really said, oh, thank God it's about Furiosa, because what if they did like a Hope and Glory for real with a $100 million budget behind them? Then we could just stop it right here and there. But when we heard about the Furiosa project, we thought, okay, no, it's a great companion piece. And actually, it's we could be the appetizer. Furiosa is the main course, as we always say. We could be like this small side adventure, something that leads into Fury Road.
Right.
If you want to chronicle it in a certain way. And we tell something that even George Miller didn't do in the movies before. We visit different places. We see him in a different time, and we spend more time with him in his car than ever before. And so that way we thought, okay, if we do this movie, the Mad Max fans are hungry for this. The craving for this is real, and we read about this. We have like the comics and we have the video game, and people really, really enjoy this. Give them that, but also the emotional gut punch that hopefully Hope and Glory is. I mean, yeah, the people who played the video game know what's going on, and the people who read the comic know the ending is a tragic one. But it could be something that gets heads turned. And as you said, we had so many people coming to us after we already spent like 2 years or something on the project. Come on, just stop it, guys. It's a silly idea. You're wasting time. You're wasting money. Do something original. Yes. We have original content. We have not content. We have original films. I don't like this word. We have original films in our desks. We have original ideas in our heads, and we have all these stories. But I think it's important to get seen in a certain way. And
I totally agree with
you. Let's do it like this.
100%. No, I think that's, you know, nowadays you have to do something to set yourself apart. But the important thing, I think, more than anything is whatever film you set out to do, it's did you accomplish the task that you set out for yourself? And I think that nobody who watches this movie would ever say, oh, these guys can only make a Mad Max movie. I would trust your team to make any kind of a film, because the preparation that you had made, that book of storyboards, I think you would bring that same methodology to anything that you would make. And so investors want to know, hey, if we're going to spend, let's say you make those two brothers that made Talk to Me. I don't know if you saw Talk to Me, the horror film.
Love it.
You know, it was great. And they cut their teeth making horror videos and all kinds of things for social media. So they learned their craft, and you could watch what they were doing. This is a great calling card, I think, to show, and it's not just the finished movie, it's that book of storyboards, it's all the development, it's the building of the car, it's everything that you did shows somebody that you know what you're doing. I mean, even Alan Ladd, when he'd seen American Graffiti that Universal didn't even think was going to be a hit, Alan Ladd said, well, I don't know about this space stuff, but George Lucas clearly has a vision. So why don't we take a chance? Now, with our analytics-driven corporate world there's less chance-taking in Hollywood. But I think, you know, look what you did with the $70,000 budget. I'd be very curious to see what you do with the $2.5 million budget, if that's going to be your next movie.
That's exactly the sum I'm thinking about, because I'm not interested, and I'm really cautious about this, even if, and you know, that sounds arrogant, but it shouldn't sound that way. If somebody would call me now and say, here you have 200 million, do this, I would say no, thank you. Because, you know, as a film lover and as a watcher and a cinema goer, I know the people, how they are screaming under the weight of such a sudden, like, climate change, right. In this case, that just is, it's not nurturing, it's destroying the artistic value and the whole process, because you don't get to grow. And I think that's the exciting thing about Hope and Glory, that Adrian, Johannes, me, and our brothers, and the rest of the team, we got to grow into this. And since Hope and Glory was filmed like in different filming blocks, we always had time like to learn and adapt for the next one, and to really implement what we have done wrong, and to implement what we have done right, and really finesse like the whole process, even in post-production. So right now, I would say we know like how to do a Mad Max movie, and yeah, it's so important to accept like it's a stair, and it's like a mountain. You cannot, in my mind, you cannot jump like to the top. It's like with every ability, you cannot be like the master in one day. You have to learn, and you have to climb the mountain step by step. And I think, like as you say, a 1 million, 2.5 million budget is a perfect like arena to play in, to slowly grow into that. And I'm not interested in anything bigger right now, because I know, of course, it sounds cool. And if I tell that my friends, they say, yay, but we know what happens.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I think that you have the perfect attitude for all of this, because one of the problems I think that the industry has is we don't have filmmakers that are allowed to build a career. And I go back and look at Tarantino as a perfect example, who's somebody who did build his career. He did it on his own terms. He made Reservoir Dogs. He was able to get an attachment like Harvey Keitel that brought in other actors. And he really showed his chops. He spent not very much money, made a very clever film. It's still maybe one of my if not my favorite Tarantino movie, one of them. And then his next movie, he didn't jump on and direct Jurassic World. He made Pulp Fiction. And then after that, he made Jackie Brown. He made choices that were his own, and he wasn't breaking the bank. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, look, if someone comes to you and says, "Here's $200 million," I wouldn't say no. I mean, ultimately, but I would maybe say, well, is there something we can make for? Because the amount of money, if people are throwing money at you first, that's the wrong way to look at it. You have to have a movie that you want to make, and
not a date, not like a budget, and don't shoot a date, don't shoot like a schedule. You have to make movies, and I think that's something that's missing nowadays.
100%. And I think that the real filmmakers that expect to have a career, like you said, it's in your blood. You started playing with toys and looking through camera lenses when you were 11 years old, or even before that. And nowadays, our world, the business of Hollywood is not designed to develop careers, which I find foolhardy, because, I see filmmakers like the brothers who made Talk to Me, or somebody like Zach Krieger who made Barbarian. Zach, I don't know if you saw Barbarian, but yes. Barbarian was made for $4.5 million, and Zach Krieger had a whole comedy skit thing going on way before he made Barbarian. He has another project he's making at Warner Brothers now called Weapon that they just announced some really great cast, and he's not jumping into a $100 million blockbuster. He's making another, I don't know what Weapon is, but he's making another project with a great cast of eclectic actors like Tarantino for a studio, but he's not breaking the bank. And I think that, and if he's successful, a $4 million movie that makes $40 million, that's all anybody cares about. You make money, and nowadays I think the business is changing in the sense that I think we're going to have a big contraction, and we're going to see a lot of filmmakers, new filmmakers, that are able to do exactly what you did. Because would you say, I mean, everybody would like to be a filmmaker, but like you said, you spent 3.5 years on this movie. It's not easy to make movies, is it?
It's not, and you need a crew behind you. You need an understanding family behind you. You need friends behind you. You need all that stuff that's invisible. You need crew members and colleagues and co-producers who remind you to eat, to remind you to sleep, and to really get through this, because it's not a marathon. It's a form of ultra marathon. It's I love the process, and I love every part of it, especially everything with the post-production, because you really get to dive into that. And I really get to love that and admire the sound post-production. To be honest, that's the biggest learning curve, I have to admit. And you need to have, you have to believe in the end product, and you have to think about the thing you thought about when you have written this story. The first day the idea started burning inside you, and you have to really cherish that, because sometimes you really hate this. And there were days, and I will not lie, where I said, screw this, why do I do this? I could not answer this to me for 15 minutes on a certain day, where I thought, why? I had no answer. And you have to cherish this small pocket of hope and of belief and of
glory,
vision and glory. Yeah. And then you have to come back to this and remind you of that feeling, and then okay, and get through certain valleys. And oh boy, on a 3.5 years long journey, these valleys come, but they also go. So
No, I'm right there with you. Now, we've got a few questions that people are firing in. First of all, Major Chai Chai sent 5 Burnettwork members. She gifted memberships to 5 people. That was very nice of you, Major Chai Chai. Thank you. 1001 Johnny says, for Eric, surely Mad Max is a source of pride for Australia's film industry. What are other great pieces of Australian film, be it tragedy, comedy, sci-fi, fantasy, or horror, that the rest of the world should be aware of as far as Australian film is concerned?
Australian films. Let's see.
I've got some answers to that if you need
I
help.
think the stuff of Peter Weir or Peter Weir. How do I call them?
Yeah, Peter Weir.
Peter Weir, yeah. Gallipoli, Master and Commander, all that stuff.
I mean, Picnic and Hanging Rock, The Last Wave, The Cars That Ate. I'm a huge Peter Weir fan. The Year of Living Dangerously.
I haven't seen that, to be honest.
Oh, it's Mel Gibson's in that too. He plays a photo. It's Mel Gibson and Sigourney Weaver. It's a fantastic movie. But you point out something too. If you look at a guy like Peter Weir, he started out making an exploitation movie like The Cars That Ate Paris, and then he also worked his way up. Picnic at Hanging Rock is based on a real event, and then he made The Last Wave, which is based on the Australian Aboriginal Dreamtime. And again, a man who, even Australia back in the 70s, it was not thought of as a powerhouse of world cinema, but there was a lot of really interesting movies made by scrappy filmmakers like yourself who came together, and some people made horror movies. There's a movie called Wake in Fright. That's a pretty great Australian film. There's a biker movie called Stone that has a lot of Mad Max in it. So again, it was sort of a movement in Australia in the 70s and early 80s that led to the birth of Ausploitation. So
yes, but I have to admit, Australian cinema is still like mostly unknown to me, and I have still a lot to explore. So yeah.
Well, you
I'm
should
really
look at
on a Peter Weir and George Miller diet mainly. Of course, I've seen Premonition and all the and horror stuff from there, but yeah, no, there's still a lot to watch for me. So please, recommendations.
There's good stuff like Breaker Morant and The Man from Snowy River that are beautiful movies. I got a 4K disc of a movie I have not seen by Simon Windsor called Snapshot. Got that this week. That's an Australian movie, and then there's a great documentary about Australian Ausploitation movies, so that's good. That's worth checking out. Some guy in the chat named Dieter Bastian says, what's with those Germans invading the Burnettwork? I'm fearing my status as a favorite German is slipping. And yet, congratulations to everyone involved in the Hope and Glory project. Rob was right. Damn impressive. Well, I don't know who this Dieter guy is, but apparently he thinks he has some connection to this channel. Far be it for me to say he doesn't. I don't want to burst anyone's bubble. Adventure Square says, amazing work, Eric. Will you folks be doing the festival circuits? We have the Fantasia Film Festival here in Montreal, Canada around August. Hint, hint.
Well,
so what do you think? Film festivals?
If they allow fan material, because that's the thing, we really have trouble finding festivals who accept stuff where we are not the rights holder. Of course, we did all that stuff ourselves, but if you have festivals for us guys out there where you can submit stuff like Mad Max Hope and Glory, please send it to us, because we know only of maybe a handful where you can send it to. And that's the reason why it dropped on YouTube today, because we thought, okay, the festival circuit on one hand, but it's a really, really small circle of people, or the world. And we said, it's so difficult to get in there, and we have to, it's all the fees, and it's all the traveling, and let's just let the gods of YouTube decide.
I'm right there, and I'm happy to help with the push. Darth Plato says Witness. That's another great Peter Weir film, but that's when he came to America and was making an American. Witness is a great movie. Paul Allen Bernotto says, hello, Rob, and hello to you, Eric. Congratulations to you and the entire cast and crew. My question is, what was the total budget for this fan film? You've already covered that, but is there anything you want to add to that? How much the budget was?
Well, Johannes, Adrian, and myself, we had like a 5-figure sum of money put into this, but couldn't really get over the finish line with that. So we, to complete the movie and to shoot in Spain, that is, for the driving sequences, the sequences that bind everything together, we had to find a co-producer. And luckily for us, our main actor knew a guy who, and still knows a guy, who said, "Who are these crazy people? Who are these guys? What are they doing? It sounds so mad. I want to save some taxes. I'm in." And that's it. It was so crazy, and he helped us like getting over the finish line. Bureau Dada, shout out to you. Thanks again. Family members and friends were really gracious with their money. They didn't go to Mallorca or spend their holidays anywhere special, but invested their money into the movie.
Wow.
It's something I'm really grateful for. And last but not least, we thought we had to pay for 25 VFX shots that we couldn't find somebody to finish for us. And then we got the Emerging Talents Award. We got granted the Emerging Talents Award by Pigstone Images,
Wow.
an Indian VFX company that is. And they helped us do like the last 25 shots. And it was really complicated stuff. It was mostly invisible stuff that you won't even realize are special effects in the visual effects in the final movie. And so, yeah, that's it. But all the money we had spent on this movie was for traveling, food, accommodation, and fuel, gasoline. That's it. Yeah, mostly.
Well, okay, that brings me to, I have so many questions about the actual production of the film, which we haven't really got to yet. But so you knew you had to shoot in Spain. What was, I mean, you have to take the car there. Like, how do you, it's one thing to shoot. It's hard to shoot in your own neighborhood, but you're going to a foreign country to shoot. What did that entail? How did you get to Spain? Did you have to call up the consulate and go, "Yo, I want to come and shoot my little movie in Spain"? How did you find yourselves in Spain? What take us through that process?
At first, we thought everything will be done in Germany. We will find a quarry. We will find I don't know. We find this piece of desert that nobody knew about until this point. But that didn't happen. There was no quarry that was big enough. We missed the epic scope. We missed the horizon. We missed the dust. We missed sand, and we missed the vegetation and everything. It's so green and it's so lush over here that we thought, okay, let's worry about that later. Let's shoot all this stuff underneath. Let's shoot in this old airplane hangar. Let's shoot in this old bunker and do everything that we can and realize maybe we don't need that. And so we did all this, and the edit was complete, but not really. We always had in mind these big sweeping shots of the landscape. Let me see if I find it. Yeah. So from the beginning, we had these sweeping, shots of the ships. And
you did those almost exactly like your storyboards. I love that.
Yes. So we had that in mind, and then we realized the importance of that stuff. At first, it was sequences, it was scenes, and they were fine, but there was nothing that held them together. And one day, Johannes, our DOP, said, "There's no way around this. We have to go to Spain." We always feared for that because we thought, oh no, it means huge travel costs, it means a foreign language, and it means, I don't know, some crazy people who get the car and drive it up there, because we couldn't put it on a plane and just show up in the desert and shoot there. No, we have to find crazy people who get into a car in Germany, in Berlin, drive all the way down. It's 2,500 kilometers.
Because you got to go through France, right?
Yeah, and over the Alps and everything, snowstorms. I was not there, but it was an adventurous trip, I tell you.
Did you make a video? Did you make a behind-the-scenes video of our journey to Spain in the last of the V8 Interceptors?
I hope they did. But I'm not sure. We have some photographs, and they sometimes, they have chosen a few couple of places to recharge. In Barcelona, for example, they took a little detour just to visit Barcelona
to meet girls. I know.
I don't know. Probably. And so Spain, Los Monegros, to be exact, was in the northern region. It was like the closest desert to Germany, if you look at it from space. And Johannes Pau, but he will tell that yourself later.
Yeah.
He had a special way to scout that location without going there, and it really, really paid off. And
did you have to call anybody? Did you have to call anybody in Spain?
Oh, yes. We had to call a lot of people. And then they told us the waiting time is around 3 or 4 months. And we said, okay, but we wanted to shoot in 4 weeks. Yeah, so we sneaked in there, basically. I have to admit, we sneaked in there. And since it was winter and it was freezing cold, as, by the way, all of the movie, it was freezing cold. It was around, I don't know, around the freezing point for everyone most of the time, except for 2 filming days, that all the Spanish population was in their homes. They were at home in their cozy apartment, and we had the desert for ourselves. We had no tourists running around. We had nothing to rotoscope out later. We had everything for ourselves, and that was really, really, really good, because otherwise somebody might have, I don't know, called someone with Guardia Civil, for example, and then that was an exciting time there. Always scanning the horizon. We felt like Mad Max, always looking for scavengers or the Guardia Civil.
Well, it was, I mean, those shots, I love the shots at the beginning, and to know that you storyboarded them, they're almost exactly like your storyboards now let me ask you this. So you've got these great establishing shots with these ships, presumably that was an ocean or something that's now evaporated, and those are incredible effect shots, and they're exactly how you designed them. What was it like shooting those plates, and take us through, like, when you actually got on location to shoot, what were some of the things you needed to do? Did you have your storyboards? I mean, were you using any kind of digital compositing when you would set up the shots to see what it might look like? How did you approach doing shots like that, like those opening shots with the ships? How did you actually execute those?
Well, I could tell you about this, or we could invite Johannes to this talk. Because,
okay.
He's
invited.
Okay. Very good. If he joins us, he will add some details. Basically, these shots, funnily enough, one of them is a Segway shot. It's not a drone shot. It's not a tripod shot. It's a Segway shot.
You took a Segway to the desert?
We took a Segway to the desert and did some crazy stuff there. Because
you could probably get them to pay you for that footage.
Didn't the Segway... Didn't the Segway guy, who invented it, die by a Segway?
I think he might have.
Or is that
something like that?
No, our camera guy, he's still alive and thriving.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so we shot a lot of it's HDR, of course.
Right,
we did all these HDR photos, and luckily for us, everything was so clean these days, because it was like a big gamble. There could be a sandstorm, there could be rain, there could be snow, and we always had the right conditions, the right enough conditions for every sequence, and only a certain time frame. But Johannes will tell you that since the sun was moving so fast, since it was in the middle of winter, it was January 2023. we had to move really fast because
Yeah.
sometimes after 20 minutes the shadows were too long or in the wrong place, and yeah, it was a race against time.
You know, isn't there's a German philosopher, forgive me my pronunciation, is it Goethe? Goethe, the German philosopher? G-O...
Yeah, of course, Wolfgang Goethe, yeah.
Yeah, Goethe. So he said, and I'm paraphrasing, he said that once you decide to go on a course of action, once you decide to actually do something and you commit to doing something, the gears of the universe start to turn and shift into place to help you achieve what it is you've actually set out to do. But you have to actually be committed. You have to be committed. So it sounds like Goethe was right. You Germans know what you're doing. You know, once you set out, even nature, it works for you. You get to the desert and you get the sun. So
exactly. Really, yeah, it's really on point. When you said that, I'm just reminded of all the things that happened. You know, whether it's the availability of the composer or the availability of the orchestra or a certain sound designer we wanted to work with, or certain studios where to mix the whole thing, and yeah, jobs that were not or were there in a certain time, and everything clicked together. And I think Johannes and Adrian can attest to this. This movie really, really had the movie gods on their side. You know, we often had the feeling, okay, it had to be like this. We had to walk against the wall. We had to fight certain things and to be frustrated until the time is right, until the right character, the right department head is there for us. And so at the end, we trusted the process. And yeah, luckily for us, time is all we had, as this no-budget movie can tell. And so we could really not only hope, but we could wait sometimes for the right moment when to ask, like, are you available to mix this in this day and age? Yeah, and yeah,
it worked. Goethe was right.
Yeah, Goethe was right.
So now let me ask you this. One of the things I also really enjoyed about the film was the cast. You know, was your cast. And I mean, obviously you have somebody stepping into the role that Tom Hardy or Mel Gibson played. If you don't believe they're the same person, they're the same person. You know, casting Max Rokitansky, that's a tough one to cast. Take us through the casting process. And did you know Max already? And what was it like to cast the movie?
Well, if possible, please invite Adrian right now, because that's where he comes into play. But I will make like this transition.
I don't know if I think, did you send me their emails? Because I sent you the link to come in.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just send them the link,
sure.
they're both of them can come in now. They're both invited. Because I think one of the things that I really liked was, and again, something that's difficult for fan films to do is cast actors that you believe. It's hard, especially can they look the part? Do they look? Sometimes fan films are populated with people that just look like your friends, as opposed to the characters that they are supposed to be playing. And I really, really liked all the cast in your movie. The acting is quite good. And there's a lot of great faces and a lot of great characters. And I guess Adrian will talk about that when he gets here. But
he will get here. But that's exactly the thing. I can talk until then. He's here, and we talk about Max. Here it is. Here he is.
Yes, we're going to add your co-director Adrian, who also built the car.
Yes.
We're going to add Adrian into the shot, into the movie, into this. Adrian, we've never met, but I welcome you, the co-director, Adrian Martin, who also built the car. Welcome to Robservations, and welcome to this episode celebrating your movie, Hope and Glory, a Mad Max fan film. Tell us everything.
Okay, where did I start?
No, I guess we were just talking about the casting. First of all, tell us this. Why did you start building the last of the V8 Interceptors? What made you, what possessed you to build this car?
6 years ago, I was a big fan I am a big fan of the Mad Max movies and the comic and the game, and I played the game every day, and I was so into it that I said, I want to make a movie. And so I began to build the Interceptor because no one would help me. No one wanted to do a movie with me. And everyone said, it's too big, it's too complicated, you can't do it. You can't shoot the wasteland in Germany, it's impossible. So I thought, if I'm going to build the Interceptor, I can, so people would see me and said, okay, that's a cool thing. We would join you and help me. So I met Eric, we met Johannes, and that's the beginning of our journey.
Well, it was a good journey. Now we also have Johannes here is with us. Welcome to Robservations, Johannes, the producer of the film and one of the producers, I guess, the producer and the director. I put photographer, it's director of photography, or as they say in Europe and everywhere else that's not America, the DOP, the director of photography. We just say DP in the States. So welcome to the show. Johannes, how did you get involved in this crazy project?
Yeah, that's a good question. I got a call from Adrian, and we knew each other from several years before already. I always wanted to make a movie with Adrian. And then I also heard that Eric is also involved, which was amazing. I knew both of them were making movies, but we never did movies together. So yeah, I was really excited. And then he told me about Mad Max and the action film. And I've never done action before. So I was really excited. And yeah. So
now, what was your background? How did you get into cinematography, and were you classically trained? Did you go to school for this? And how did you begin your own journey?
Yeah, probably I start from the very first beginning because I grew up on the countryside. I didn't have a TV. I didn't have any connection to any films. But there was this one moment when my best friend gave me a camera, and I said, "Oh wow, okay," and I realized, "Wow, I can record moments with this," and yeah, that was the beginning of my interest in cinematography. And after school, I went to make some apprenticeship at a big television company. And I went to Ari Rental, the camera rental, the biggest camera rental in Germany, where I met, like many people from the film industry, and that was my moment to jump onto film sets. And my goal for working on film sets was never, I want to step in the career level very quickly, but I want to work on big movie sets. Like I want to learn from the masters, which brought me to Hollywood sets in Germany, and that was like how I went to film set. But besides that, I also shot many short films. And started developing my camera language, and the action film was like the next step of creating of building my vita, expanding my my work.
Well, I want to go back to Adrian. So I heard that you were contacted over, I guess it was Instagram, that Eric just contacted you because he'd seen your car that you were building.
Yeah.
When he first contacted you, what did you think? Like, did you ever conceive that your car was going to be used in a movie? That you were going to drive to Spain to get it there and go to the desert? Like, what were you thinking at the time?
Okay, at this time, it was clear for me that I want to do a film, but not as this big. I did not expect that. The thing is, when Eric called me or contacted me, I was like, okay, he's the first one that is interested in this project. So I talked to him, and he said, yeah, I can do the storyboard for you if you want. And after he made the storyboard, and we called and had a phone call, he said, can I join you as a director or something like that? And I said, yeah, I think I need another guy that's crazy as I am. And so it was good for us both that we are two guys in this project. And with Johannes as a DOP, who also is the producer later, it was necessary that we work together on this project like it's our baby. Yeah. The thing is, I first met Daniel Grave, Max himself, on another set. I just begin here. It's funny because I'm not a filmmaker. I'm just a car mechanic. But
you're a filmmaker now.
Okay, I think so. But I always wanted to do movies. I always wanted to make a big movie. I work on sets like Johannes wanted to. And then I met on another set Daniel Grave, and he was the person. I saw him, and I thought he's the one. He's big, he's strong, he got the eyes like Mal himself, and he got the blue eyes, the brown hair, the face for Max. And I had a leather jacket, and I put it on, and I said, here, take this. And I said, yeah, he's the one. He's our Max.
What did he say? Like, how did you approach him? Did you just walk up to him one day and said, hey man, do you want to play? You ever watch a Mad Max movie?
I did know him very good. He was on set. He was an actor, and I just was the co-director.
So you're the random guy that just walked up to the.
Yeah, and I saw him, and I thought, oh my God, he's the one. And I walked to him and up to him, and I said, yeah, hello. Do you want to be my Mad Max for my new film?
Now, had you talked to Eric about this yet, or you just walked up to him and talked to him?
No, it was before I met Eric.
Okay.
And it was a year before I met Eric. And then I said to Eric, I have this guy. What are you thinking about him? And he saw a picture and said, oh, I don't know. I must meet him. And they both live in Berlin, Eric and Daniel. And after they met, Eric called me and said, yeah, he's the one. And then it was.
Okay, Eric. Okay. So you got to tell us this story. So Adrian tells you that he's cast your lead role for you. You know, how'd you feel about
that? The first thought was, oh no, he did. Okay, but then I said, okay, he's available. He's in Berlin. Let's just meet. Let's just talk. And I've only seen like photos of him like clean shaven and really, like the opposite of Max, Max is like really like full of dirt and ash and blood and this beard. The neck is like it's so wild, He's like a high percentage of animal, of wolf, I would say. And I think I saw him, and he had like a little bit of facial hair. And he was like the nicest guy, and he was interested in doing this right. And I liked the fear in him doing something wrong. I liked that he was not like, oh, let's do this, blah, blah, blah. No. He was really, really serious about taking the Australian accent seriously, about taking the character seriously, and to make this right. Because, of course, as he always said, he's the face of the movie. He's the one who will get criticized the most, as did Daniel Craig, of course, with Casino Royale, for example.
Yeah.
As every new Bond does. Oh my God, no, he can never fill his shoes, la la la. No. And he knew like he has like the biggest burden of us all. A hope and a glory and the commander and the old king. We could cast anyone because he's not. They don't step into the shoes of certain great actors. But yeah, Daniel had to prove himself. And I like this attitude. And I like that he said, I'm going to work now. I'm going to look for a vocal coach, for a dialect coach. I want to change my voice so it sounds raspy. And yeah, as somebody who did not talk for a year, who didn't drink enough and all that stuff. And after this hour-long meeting, I said, okay, was a pleasure meeting you. Called up Adrian and said, yeah, he's it. And that's the same with Glory. We have to talk about Hope and Glory, of course, the title characters. It's always important to us that for certain actors, have to embody the characters, at least for a little bit. As children, as far as children go, they have to be these children. They have to have like the same spirit. They have a similar attitude to life, a similar attitude to fear and to action, and they have to like movement. And I think with Max, Hope, and with Glory, we had like this trio, this triptych that works. They are so different, but yet similar, and work as if they are living in the wasteland.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys did a really great job casting. Well done. Now, Johannes, you came on board. Now you have, at the time, 4 other movies to look at. And as a photographer, as the DOP, did you want to bring something new, or did you think it was important? It has that Fury Road look, which was a bold, brash look, different than, say, the previous 3 films. How did you approach that? Did you want to do something new, or did you all 3 of you agree to go more toward that Fury Road aesthetic?
I mean, of course, there's the influence of Fury Road, and we all loved the look of Fury Road.
Yeah.
But the good thing about our movie was that we have many scenes in places that you don't see in Fury Road.
Right, the darkness and the interiors.
Exactly, like there's no hangar, there's no garage, and so on. So that gave me like the opportunity to build my own looks for those places. And also there was also the budget thing. Fury Road has those amazing camera movements. In the chasing scenes, and we don't have many chasing scenes. We have one in the end, but that also gave me like the opportunity to build something new, because we had to think, okay, what are we able to do? And it's influenced by Fury Road, but it's something own. Yeah.
Right. Now, Dieter Bastian asks, was there a lot of digital color grading involved later?
We did color grading, and we also built that look in the color grading later. But I always had in mind how this film should look like.
Yeah, so you shot it to be graded that way.
Yeah, exactly. And on set, I always had in mind, okay, it looks like that, but later I know I can make this or that with the material. Yeah.
Yeah. Dieter also asks Adrian, weren't you worried the car was going to get wrecked?
What do you mean with wrecked? We built 2 interceptors.
Oh.
In the first place, we had this old Jaguar, and my brother and I, we built a body on it, and that's on my Instagram. You can see the whole story. And but this car was so fucked up in the first scenes, and with the first crash, it was broken and the engine was busted. So we had to build a new engine in this car, and this was more like if Max do it himself. This,
right. Okay.
Yeah, and it was the intention. This car was perfectly for Mad Max. It was more authentic, like than the Interceptor in Fury Road. It was so rusty. It was so broken. It was really authentic.
So it must look great on
And
camera. Yeah, so that's good.
yeah. That's why we have one. But the second, we bought an old Gran Torino because we wanted the driving scenes in Spain in the quarry where we shoot the car chase scenes, and we needed a car which is works better and runs better. So we had it was necessary to build another one. So yeah, that's the thing. So we had two interceptors, and we shoot the interior scenes with one interceptor, the other scenes, the driving scenes with the other. So yeah,
Nice.
that's the thing.
The story that you were the one who drove for the most time. So you are in the movie a lot, actually. And yeah, what the interceptor did to us, like on a nerve level.
In the first place, the first interceptor was I don't know how you say it, right steering, like in Australia or in
Oh,
Great
right.
Britain.
Yeah.
And so we had this one, and just before the crash, the first crash, which Max crashed the Warboy's car, the engine was broken down, so we have to tow the car into the other car, and I drove it myself because no one wanted to drive this thing. I did not have a seatbelt, so it was really dangerous. Yeah, but it works.
Like on the
And-
original Mad Max.
Yeah,
Back in-
exactly. And it was fucked up for the whole time, because every time if we were in Spain or in Germany, we had the most problems where that the engine was broken, or we had to work on it just before every single shot, and it was really complicated that the car is running. So we built a new fuel pump in the desert in Spain, an electric fuel pump, and our fuel tank was in the front of the car because our hose was too small, and there were so many problems. And the biggest problem was that I was the only car mechanic on set. It's like you're the director, you're the producer, and you're the car mechanic for the scene. And then, as the fourth thing, I was the driver for the most scenes. And the other car, the second interceptor, was a left steering car because it's from America, a Gran Torino.
Right.
And it was like I was sitting on the left side with a black sheet over me, and Max was Daniel Grave was on the right side with a steering wheel in the air, so like this.
That's
And
amazing.
So we shoot every single scene, and
Johannes, one of the movie is beautifully shot, first of all. Congratulations on that. But you've got aerial photography in here. You've got some really great wide master shots. Take us through your photographic process, and what cameras were you using to shoot the movie?
Yeah, that's also like the whole process of the whole movie. Every single shooting block of all 6 blocks, we grew, and the project grew, and so the camera work did as well. We started with a GH5 Panasonic, which is like a really small camera.
Yeah.
But like in the very first production meeting, I already said, "Oh, I really would love to shoot that movie on an Arri Alexa." So yeah, we started with that little camera, second shooting block as well, and then we showed the material to some friend of Eric, and he said, "Oh wow, that looks really nice. I have an Alexa Mini at home. I can give it to you." And that's like how we started to build this amazing camera work technically. because all other 4 shooting blocks were shot on Alexa. Even the aerial photography. So we had this massive drone, 30 kilograms, flying through the Spanish desert, together with Copterwork, an aerial company from Germany. And that was amazing that they also they brought their drones and joined us on this adventure. Yeah, and they also had this what you were talking before on the Segway. They also had the Segway, so we had some Segway shots and some crane shots.
Now, were you shooting with anamorphic lenses? Because like Road Warrior was shot with anamorphic lenses.
Actually, no. Yeah, that's also like a big difference between Fury Road and us, and also like Road Warrior and so on. For example, Fury Road, they shot on pretty sharp lenses, and Road Warrior on anamorphics. But for me, it was really important, as we also have like a really more rough world and dirty world. I wanted to shoot it with vintage lenses, and we got some amazing sponsors through all these shooting blocks, several camera rentals, Ludwig and Sparks from Germany, and
That's
Ari
amazing.
Rental as well. And for every single shooting block, we had to again ask, hey, can we have some more equipment? But most of the film are shot on vintage lenses, the Cooke S2 Pancros, which is amazing. Especially in the hangar shots. I love the dirty look, and not only the costumes and makeup and set design make the world dirty, but also the lenses.
No, I mean that really adds. I mean, the film is so beautifully shot. It's a very impressive piece of work. Now, I want to ask, Eric, you and Johannes, when you guys got together and started working on this project, and you had storyboarded the movie, and he was looking at those storyboards, could you talk a little bit about your collaboration with Johannes? How did the two of you work together to create the look of the film, and what were some of the things that you guys did before you started shooting to get the movie the way you wanted it to be?
I warned him beforehand that I will draw everything, and he said, okay, you will. And when he saw like the book in front of him, I don't know what he thought. He has to share that with us now. I think he thought, oh man, that's like a really tight frame, and I have to really do this, and I have no room to create myself. And I didn't want him to feel that way. I wanted to say like, okay, that's our basis. Let's explore from here on out. If we have something better, for example, the whole Steadicam opening, when we see the car and we see Max and we see all that beautiful movement and all the dynamic movement, that's all Johannes. That's all him and the Steadicam operator. And that's clearly something better than than what I have drawn beforehand in the storyboard. And so we always said, that's the springboard. That's the basis. We can always go back to that and say, that works, that's okay. But is there something better out there? And so we, together with Adrian and Lasse and Johannes, we were a team of 4 who went through the whole board, like really, really frame by frame, and analyzed it. Like, is the rhythm right? Is there something more needed? Do we need more information here? Is that like redundant? Can we just cut it out? What if we do that as an A/B shot? What if that develops into this? Can we do that moving? And so we had like the storyboards as a basis of conversation, where we could see the movie for the first time in front of our inner eyes. And I hope, Johannes, please confirm or deny that it invited like new ideas to the table.
Johannes, what do you say? You saw this book of a beautiful book of storyboards. What did you think when you first saw it, And were you worried about limiting your own creativity?
I was worried in the beginning, but yeah, it was an amazing process, and I loved it. And it was the first time that I got storyboards to work on, and didn't like build the whole cinematography by my own. But yeah, it was amazing, and we also added some more scenes where we collaborated also on the storyboards. Then, for example, the chasing scene in the end was not storyboarded, and the when Max pulls Glory out of this hole, 9 meter deep hole, we also developed every single shot together. But also on set, we always changed things and said, oh, probably this works better, or this works better. And there was this meeting that Eric told in the beginning, like it was 3 years ago, I think in May, where it took us 2 days to work through the whole storyboards. I mean, it was more than 500 pictures, I think.
Wow.
Which is a really amazing thing. That book, by the way, that Eric showed, it has 176 pages, which is super amazing.
That's
but it was an amazing process. To collaborate, and it was always that Eric and me, we both had in mind we want to have the best possible picture for that scene, and we didn't say, oh, that's my vision and there's nothing better. But collaboration was the key.
I have to ask you, Adrian, that it's, you being a car mechanic, now you're thrown in with these crazy artists, photographers, directors, and all that, and you're co-directing the movie. What was the most surprising thing about the movie making process that you might not have anticipated? What was it about filmmaking that surprised you the most?
Okay, it's because I do some films before, some short films, and not that bad. But the thing is, in the first shooting block, we were like 15 people, some of them with filmmaking experience and some of them with no experience. And the thing is, when Johannes came into the second shooting block, and he had one guy with him, and in the other shooting block, he had like 15 guys and girls with him, and the other shooting blocks, there was like 40 guys. They worked on so many films and they were so professional, and so the film is getting better every shooting block. I didn't expect that. I was like, okay, I thought we just friends who wanted to make a movie, a good movie, and in the end we're making a Hollywood-like movie. Not exactly like that, but some kind of. So I was surprised about this. I'm sorry for the blur. I don't know.
Oh no, it's probably just keying off something. It's probably keying off something else. Well, I mean, I would say, Eric, you've now created. What do you think in terms of creating a piece of work like this that is so slick and so professional? I mean, we've seen movies have been made for hundreds of years, or a little over 100 years, and not every movie is as slick and professional as this was. What would you attribute the success of this? Not just the team. Is it the team? Is it the planning? If someone were to ask you, well, how can I make a movie like you just did? What advice might you give them?
It is the planning, and it is the accepting of changing your plans, adjusting your plans to availabilities of actors, to Corona, to the war in the Ukraine, to the weather, to the availability of technical stuff, to broken cars. So if you accept that you can plan for weeks and accept that this plan could be like out the window in a second, and readjust yourself and just accept that it's part of the thing of filmmaking to, I think, as Christopher McQuarrie says best, to really be able to turn on your heels, to turn your heels.
Yeah.
What's the saying?
Yeah.
To be able to just to be agile, accept all the complications, accept the chaos, accept all the difficulties as part of the thing, and don't say, it's just like logical A to B to C to D to the premiere and glamour and glitz and fame, and it's also luxurious, because it isn't. Then you can do anything if you just let yourself like go with the flow and realize certain things happen, and then you have to be agile. You have to be able to think about solutions that bring your team to the goal. If that means deleting a certain scene, cutting out like certain shots from the day, or even change like the script, cast another actor because of unavailability, or just changing a whole scene because of a certain location, then you have to do this. If you say no, it's very strict and it's forward and it's very rigid, I think then it's really, really hard, and then you will fall, because it's not just doing storyboards and doing them one by one by one. I did that before, it failed miserably. You have to be able to communicate.
Yeah.
And I think communication is the key for me that this movie brought to the finish line. Communication between department heads, between the actors, and between every single crew member. So everybody feels understood, everybody feels heard, and everybody is on the same page, making the same movie. Because I think that's the real danger, that different departments have different movies in mind. And with the car and the costumes and the storyboards, we had like 3 safeties that always remembered the people out there, we do this kind of movie and we don't do that. And so everybody was running in the same direction.
Yes.
And communication in the end was like the most important thing for me.
That's great advice for anybody who's making a film at any budget level. So I totally agree with that. I just want to say Ron Zilla must be loving this conversation, because he sends in a $50 super chat and says, "Good morning, Rob." So Ron, you've always supported this channel. Thank you so much. That is very much appreciated. And I want to thank our 3 esteemed guests, because this is a great conversation. Jillian N is a new member of the channel. Jillian, good to have you here. And No Money G says, "This movie was awesome. I just hope that Warner Brothers or any studio doesn't get jealous when a fan film is done extremely well. They tend to start suing fan filmmakers. Congrats to you and to everyone." So apparently, I mean, it's going to be really interesting now that you're, Adrian and Johannes, and now that your work is, and of course Eric, is unleashed to the public. Let me ask you this, you guys. Johannes, you've been working on this movie, this whole project, 3.5 years. Now it's out there. Now people can see it. Does that make you nervous? Do you not worry about it because you're proud of the work, and as a producer and as a director of photography, you want the audience to like it? How do you feel now that the project is, you took it from beginning to end? Today is the crossing of the finish line. It goes out into the public sphere. How do you feel about that now?
It's an amazing feeling. It's it's great, because that's what we worked for the past 3.5 years. And now it's out, and now people can see what we worked on. I mean, we told everybody, we're making this fan film, we're making this Mad Max thing, but nobody ever could say, "Oh yeah, it's amazing what you're doing there," because they didn't see anything. Now it's out there, and I hope many people go and watch it on YouTube. That's what it made. What it's made for the audience to see it. Yeah.
And now I'd ask Adrian. Here you were building the last of the V8 interceptors, and putting pictures up on Instagram. And now, years later, the movie's unleashed into the public, and I think one of the stars of the movie is the car. Obviously, it's always the car. How does it feel for you to have the movie out there?
It's like a dream that is becoming real, and I must say I did not realize it yet, really, because it's just like 3 hours ago that we uploaded it. So I'm excited what the audience is thinking about it and what they say and what happened next. If someone came to us and say, "Hey, do you want to do a new movie? Do you want to do another movie with us?" Or I don't know what's to expect. So I'm excited about the future, and
that's great to hear.
The important thing is that we did not destroy the car in the first minute, so it was important for me. So it's the main character the whole time.
Well, congratulations on that, because it looks great. Now, Eric, one of the things I didn't touch on with you is we talked a little bit about post-production, but the music and the sound design of this film are terrific. How did you meet your composer and the sound team, and what was it like to work with them?
It was a blast. Dimitri came on board like accidentally. We had another one attached, but he dropped out for whatever reasons. We still don't know exactly why. And he said, "Yeah, but I have this guy. He will take over. Here's his number. He will call you in the next half hour." And I say, "What?" Okay. Who's the guy? Hello. We took this phone call, and right away we realized, okay, no, he's also German. He's from Cologne. He went over to Los Angeles, now living in Philadelphia, and he really wants to do this. He never did action before, but that didn't that didn't like change like the position of the DOP in this case, because Johannes couldn't like show us certain action scenes in his reel. And he said, okay, no, that doesn't stop us. If he really wants this, and if he's hungry, and if he is, if there's this appetite, and if there's like this will to do something great, that's the most important ingredient. And of course, he also took it very seriously, as we all did. It was like very important to us that everybody said to himself, it's not just a fan film. Nobody said, let's meet and do this fan film. We always said, let's do this movie. We never talked about fan movies. We said, no, let's make a movie. Let's do it like we would never do a movie after that in our lives. And we said, why do it good if we could do it excellent? And I think this striving for excellence shows itself when Dimitri once said, Eric, I'm really happy with this cue here. I'm really proud of it, but I would love to have it played by real musicians.
Yeah.
I need the music to flow through a body. I need the notes to be interpreted by a certain players in an orchestra. And I got these guys in Budapest, and if we call them and ask them if they're available, 5 minutes costs like this, la. Is that possible? And I said, it's so much money, but let's test it. Let's do this. Come on, 5 minutes of music. No, it's not even 5 minutes, Eric. It's only 2 minutes, because 3 other minutes are for another project. But 2 minutes, I could sneak in like the Hope and Glory theme, the strings, and where we need all the emotion and the warmth. And I said, okay, let's do this. That's our test. And it worked so well. And it was a difference of night and day, even if the samples were great. But to hear like this warm interpretation of this orchestra, of this 50-piece orchestra, was something else. And then he asks for another 5 minutes. What if we did the action? The whole buzzard fight, our big like climactic action scene, not climactic, but I would say like in the heart of the movie is a really big fight scene for everyone who didn't see it yet. And he really went all in there. And then we realized, come on, we did so much. Why don't do the whole thing? And so in the end, we had like 15 minutes of real orchestra in there, of course, with additionally added synthesizers and everything. And we said, okay, that's awesome. And this, on the other hand, was the reason why certain re-record mixers and sound designers came on board, because they have seen like, oh boy, they went the extra mile there.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. As I already said, the learning curve with the sound design was really, really huge for all of us, because we didn't really understand the importance of sound yet. In theory, yes, but we didn't feel it. And we did feel it when we realized, okay, it takes time to do the sound design for this. And we really had to find people who were available for this long period of time to meet like the level of excellence and of love for the details and everything that all the rest, all the other departments like spent. Because nothing could, like, if one department only got like this much love, then you notice it, and then the big thing.
Well, it's funny you say that, because right now we've pulled the trigger. We're doing this audio drama, as you know, and it's all sound design. And our composer is the same way. When he did a piece of music, he goes, "Listen, I'd really like to get real players to come in," and because it's a 30s jazz score, he brought in a sax player and a trumpet player, and he's collecting real players, and it just is 100 times better. And you can hear it. It comes out in the material. And people don't, in this AI world that we're going to live in, it's going to be easy to recreate all of human art history, but you still need the soul. You're never going to be able to get AI to be able to improvise the way a human being can, and to bring that kind of warmth. And I think what I love about this movie so much is all of you, like you said, brought your A game, and movies are a synthesis of all of these different artistic disciplines. If you didn't have Adrian build this car and you didn't see it on Instagram, you might not have never made this movie, and it's everybody, or Johannes's photography and being a producer, and everybody comes together. And I think that's what's not really understood about movie making, is that all of these people come together. And look, you and Adrian had to have a vision, and it's the director sets the tone, but it's the orchestra that achieves the director's vision. And you lead. And because the orchestra's there for you, they want to play that music the way you want it to be played. And I think that this movie, Hope and Glory, is a tremendous example of what is possible when you have filmmakers that are dedicated and know how to muster the resources to realize their vision. And that was one of the...
Yeah. Oh. As you said, with your True Noir play in development right now, in production.
In production, yep.
Yeah. Our movie is also available in Dolby Atmos, but nobody's heard it before, because Dolby Atmos theaters are really, really expensive, and one showing is like so expensive. It's like, I cannot tell you. It's we couldn't afford it, so we only played it in 7.1 right now. But the downmix is also really, really great. And YouTube, unfortunately, the Stone Age is around here, but guys, it's only stereo. It's only 2.0. It's like, come on, really? The downmix for YouTube was especially made for this platform, so I think they knew what they were doing. But there's a Dolby Atmos mix out there. There's also the plan, of course, for physical media, Greets to Deeds at this moment, where we want to attach like the Dolby Atmos track, the 7.1, 5.1 stereo mix, binaural, and the music only track. So people can really appreciate all the different departments, because the sound design alone, it was a guy called Saru Sahihi. He's a guy from the south of Germany, as so many of the people in key roles in certain departments. He outdid himself when he spent the complete January and the whole of February, night and day, doing this sound design, where he just didn't use stuff that was in libraries, but he really went out there. He used the footage, the audio material we, together with Adrian again, where we recorded a V8 with 24 different microphones, with all different speeds, with everything. Where I don't know how much gasoline you used in this time, Adrian.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's so impressive what you guys have done. Well, listen, I mean, I could talk to you we've been talking for 2 hours. I don't want to take your whole day because I think you're going to want to go watch YouTube and comments and all of these things happen. But I really want to thank, first of all, Dieter Bastian for you contacting him and setting this up. And Eric, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I mean, this is your premiere day, and you came on to talk to me right away. And it's been great to meet you, and I can't thank you guys enough. And I want to thank Adrian, I mean, for building that car, you know, and already being on sets, for finding Mad Max himself. It was incredible. Now, Adrian, can people follow you on Instagram?
Yeah. My Instagram is Martin, like ADDI Martin, yes, 020, and there are a lot of car stuff, Mad Max things, and that stuff, filming stuff. Yeah.
All right. And Johannes, congratulations as the producer and the director of photography of this. Are you on Instagram? Are you on social media?
Yes, you can find me on Johannes Pfau, like my name. Johannes Pfau on Instagram.
And, you know, for you, again, congratulations on getting this project done, you know, and now it's out into the world. I think it's going to be fun to watch the comments roll in. I mean, you know, you got to it doesn't matter what somebody says, whether they say good things or bad things. It's interesting. You got it out there. People are watching it because, look, whenever you put something, I would say this, my advice has always been, you put work out, let the work speak for itself. Somebody might say something, you're going to be like, God damn it, you don't know what you're talking about. Don't ever do that. just enjoy.
So far we're lucky with the comments. Like they're like barely no bad comments, but yeah.
Well, congratulations to you guys. I mean, it's so cool. I think I've watched the movie 5 times, the whole movie, and I've watched. I mean, I enjoy it so much, and so congratulations. And now, Eric, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram. Just type in my name, Eric Venture. There's some, I don't know, there's these little sublines in there. Okay, no chance. Oh, there's a chance.
There you go.
You will find me. Otherwise, just follow Mad Max Point short film and see what else is in store for you, because there are great VFX breakdowns, making offs, and really, really funny behind the scenes stuff where you don't recognize the shooting locations we filmed in. Actually, you will see, it was cold, it was woods, and these guys are crazy. You will just find more proof of that there. Thanks for your time. Thanks for the invitation.
Well, once again, my utmost thanks for coming on the show, and I'm so proud of what you guys did, and it's been great to get to know you. And I have to say, what a terrific, your whole philosophy behind filmmaking was very refreshing to hear. And I think you have a great future ahead of you, sir. So don't fuck it up. Go. You're gonna make some great stuff, and I really look forward to this. And it's really, really amazing what you guys have done. And let's see, Dieter says, there's a few things I want to say. Tom Jr. Jackson has posted the link to the original motion picture score on Spotify. So the original score is on Spotify, I guess.
It is, and please enjoy it.
And Sonny Dominguez says, his tip wasn't read yesterday and maybe today as well. I'll have to look at that. And Thomas Logan says, here's the obvious suggestion, Rob. Why don't you team up with these dudes for a feature film? The 4 of you should 100% be able to knock out an original movie. Well, I definitely... I got to get some money. And as far as I'm looking for, Sonny Dominguez says, here's the tip I've seen. He says, I just watched City Hunter on Netflix. It was fun. So was The Fall Guy. I loved it. And it's this generation's Smokey and the Bandit. Oh, I love hearing that. That's another movie that has great car action. Found many friends who won't see it due to Ryan Gosling. I assume they're jealous. Laugh out loud. It was everything I loved about the movies. Well, The Fall Guy, another action film. I don't know if it's open in Germany yet, but Sonny, I'm glad you saw that. And I haven't seen it. I'm probably going to go see it later today. Well,
Did
listen.
you know that we get movies 2 days earlier than the US?
I
It's
know
crazy.
you guys are, but sometimes you get them later too.
Oh yeah.
Are you getting Furiosa earlier?
2 days earlier.
Oh man,
22nd, yeah.
are the three of you going to go see Furiosa together?
In Berlin, and I live at our hometown here in the south of Germany. It's like 600 kilometers away.
Oh, okay. Well, Johannes is working. You're working on another movie, so you can't go? No?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but probably in the evening. Who knows? I don't know my schedule yet.
All right. Well, listen, Eric, maybe come back and we'll have a discussion, a spoiler discussion about Furiosa. I'd love to hear what you think of it.
That would be awesome.
Well, gentlemen, the movie is Hope and Glory, and it is available now on YouTube. You can find the soundtrack on Spotify, and I want to thank Eric, Johannes, and Adrian for coming on this episode of Robservations. I encourage everybody to go look at it on YouTube, and I want to thank everybody again for generously supporting this channel via super chats and tips and memberships, and thank you all for being here for this great long conversation on the making of this film. It's such a privilege for me to talk to other filmmakers about the work and everything they've done. And as everyone knows, this is a celebration. This channel is a celebration of the work. And I want to thank these gentlemen for being here. And on that note, remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. We just heard the stories of three men that you had yet to hear. And all you have to do is listen. And with that, go check out Hope and Glory right now. It's worth watching. Trust me. Oh, and take some headphones and turn it up. And we are out, gentlemen. I want to thank you all. Put you back. Thank you for that. That was amazing.